Hello, and welcome back to this edition of the Swift Trader video series. We're going to make a video specifically on NVIDIA. Today is the 20th of September. We can see that NVIDIA on the chart here is down 2.94% and down 7.14% over the past 5 days. Over 15 days, it's down 13.4%, and over 1 month, it's down 7.5%. Now, if we look on the right here, one of the things that we'll notice is where the green line is, essentially is exactly where the white line is. And the white line represents the price, boys and girls. So that means that we have seen the price come all the way down to the very bottom of the range, where the bottom of the range is $420. We are at $422. Now, the top of the range is at $473. There is a great possibility that we find ourselves way back up, and that this level that we are kind of coming down to, essentially, that $425 level, is just the springboard to go up to fives. If we look at the volume, what's really interesting is that as the price has been falling, so has the volume. Let's go ahead and look at the raw data just really quick, because the raw data for NVIDIA here is fairly interesting. When I say interesting, I mean, we've been negative on the rolling 5-day return for a better part of 2 weeks now. We're rolling negative on the 15-day return, and now we're negative on the 1 month return. What's curious to me is we have a go short in the short term, go short in the intermediate term, and go short in the longer term. We now are bearish in the short term, bearish in the intermediate term, and bearish in the longer term as well. This actually, as much as I can see that there is nothing but bear signals, sadness on the horizon, and bullishness is nearly out to be shot in the back of the barn because it is so dead, it makes you want to buy it. I'll be honest, because when I look at this right now, we are at 25% in the bullishness rolling for the 25 days. I do not see that partaking for very long. And when I say I will look at this in terms of how this looks down here, where is the daily sentiment? The daily sentiment specifically here for NVIDIA right now is at 47%, but I just do not believe that it can stay that low. We look at the lowest level that it's been going back the full 9 months. That was back in April of 2023, cut down to 42%. Again, this thing is at 47.2%. So if we really think about where the price could go here for NVIDIA, $400 is probably the lowest level. If we think about what's happening, though, we have completely flipped to a bearish trend. So we want to be very cautious. If we look at the overall trading signals, we did get a sell signal as of today. We have a big bear. We have some small bears. So we do want to be believing in that. If we think about what NVIDIA could do long term, this does have that tailwind of just AI. It has that idea of the technology. If we expect that the 10-year or the 30-year is going to drop as recession fears kind of come in, you'd expect that growth would rise. And NVIDIA's got nothing but growth on the horizon. So this might actually be a great place to buy NVIDIA, even though if you look on the Swift Trader app today, what it is saying is that this has flipped bearish. Now we want to look actually what is going on in the weekly. The weekly will give us a better idea. Unfortunately, this Google Finance data doesn't come through as great as it should. But when we look here, what I'm going to do just very quickly for you is clean this up. We'll bring this all the way down. We will see what we've got here. You can go ahead and pause the video if you want to learn how to do something like this. You won't know how to do all the algorithm, but you will understand how to pull in your own data. So you can see the data is now populating back. We will fill up this with one more row, give it another week. And what we'll say, boys and girls, is that this is going to be representative of what you need to know about NVIDIA through the end of last week. And if we think about where it was at the end of last week, things were incredibly bullish still. If we look, this is such bad data. This is one of the issues if you ever run into using Google Finance. While using free data, while it's fantastic to be able to get free access to free APIs and be able to pull historical data going back to 1970 for free in Google Finance, it can be a little buggy, and you see that now it is properly populating. We are down on the 2 weeks rolling right now. Obviously, if the day closed or the week closed at 422, we'd be down again. I am looking at where we are. We really need to close above like 430 at some point during this week. We'd really love to close above 452 at some point. It's really interesting because if we think about what NVIDIA has meant to this overall market in 2023, this is one of the most important stocks for the entire year since the entire year is kicked off, because as soon as ChatGPT came out, NVIDIA started off to the races, and it has been up and to the right ever since. Now, if we look at the volatility, we can see the volatility is falling. The correlation is negative. That means the price should essentially go sideways. But we would expect that this volatility is going to break back out. This correlation will hopefully rise with it, and then we'll see some gaps up higher. It is fascinating, though. If we look at the weekly volatility here on NVIDIA, we can see this massive move. When did that happen? Obviously, on January of 2023, you saw a massive breakout in volatility. On the weekly, the correlation also rose, which is exactly what you would have expected to see when you see some really big moves in NVIDIA. Now, if we look here in the weekly, something I want to point out, which is very curious, and I'm just noticing it now if we just updated the data. The blue correlation on the weekly for the volatility here is actually now for the first time under the 15-week moving average since, boys and girls, since February of 2023. It's the first time that it is truly officially underneath that 15-day or 15-week moving average, the correlation. So we actually want to see the volatility roll over on the weekly. We want to see the correlation roll over on the weekly, and we want to see that price kind of grind higher for a bit. We look here at the trade range. This is exactly what we were talking about a little bit earlier. The bottom of the range is at 420 The price right now is at 422.39. I think there's a great opportunity for this to move higher, very similar to what it did in the middle of August. You saw it hit the bottom of the range at 408, and then it hit the top of the range, or pretty close there by the end of the month. This could be a great setup for a come up in NVIDIA, and I like what I see. But tell me what you think in the comments below. Are you long? Are you short? Do you like it? Do you love it? Is this even a good review? And before you go, subscribe to the New High newsletter. If you haven't, we send you 25 stocks to your inbox every single Sunday. Stocks between $5 and $20 that are breaking out. Stocks breaking out to 1-year highs. Stocks breaking out to all-time highs. It is a great list to get your Sunday started. Talk to you soon.